Hi Charlotte, really lovely to have you with us today. Congratulations on Mortgage Introducer's Elite Women of the Year for 2026.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. How do you feel when you first found out about it, and what does it mean for you?
I was really surprised because I didn't actually want to be nominated. I was a bit like, this is just really awkward, and you don't kind of think of yourself as doing anything particularly special that, warrants getting an award. But it does mean a lot, actually, because I try really, really hard to set a good example and to support women across both our business and our industry and financial services more widely. So for me, I was really surprised, but really pleased. And you just think, okay, well, at least hopefully that means I am making a difference, even if it's just a little difference to the women around me.
How do you help teams innovate while still doing the right thing for customers and staying compliant?
Yeah, it's an interesting role because obviously with it being compliance, people don't tend to think of us as business enablers, but I fundamentally believe that's what compliance and risk is all about. For me, if you're doing the right thing for customers, you are actually delivering the requirements of the rules, so therefore you're compliant. And by doing the right things for customers, you're delivering products and services that customers actually want and need. And therefore the business success follows from that. So my ethos, whenever we're doing anything new here, or even just looking at what we do today and trying to improve on it, it's all about the customer before I think about compliance. And then, as I said, that should then lead to business success. And I think that's always been my approach to compliance, and hopefully I think people see that here as well, that we will work with the business to try and do the right thing that then delivers the right outcomes for all of us.
Yeah. And that certainly is our kind of lived experience as part of Key Group in terms of that balance, that safety net from a risk and compliance perspective. You feel that protection, but at the same time, where there's a challenge or you're wanting to sort of push the boundaries to look at what's possible, compliance are always really supportive and helpful in kind of engaging with that. So I think it's important to have the two.
I've definitely tried to bring that. I've been here 4 years now, and that's always been my approach. And I think the team operate that way. And I think too often you do see maybe people getting hung up in the black and white of the rules. And if you don't think about the spirit of the rules, which, let's face it, when it comes down to it, are about the customer outcome, you can really get caught up in just creating problems for everybody, and you don't move forward because you're trying to apply a rule that maybe doesn't work in today's landscape and doesn't even deliver good outcomes. And that's why Consumer Duty was such a kind of a game changer, because I think for a lot of us in compliance, all that did was kind of put into writing what we already applied, was thinking about customer outcomes and the spirit of the rules. And really what that means is there's nowhere you can really hide behind the black and white of a rule. You've got to work together to do the right thing.
Yeah, and that interpretation's really important, isn't it? And that comes with collaborating with each other. So yeah, really important. Okay, moving on to the next question then, Charlotte. International Women's Day is a good reminder to keep momentum going. What's one practical action that makes the biggest difference for women at work?
I think what works for me, or has worked for me, is building a network around me. So whether that's more senior women, peers, or just any women really who are in your sector or within your business, I think it's so helpful and valuable to have kind of a space that you can interact and just seek advice, because sometimes we can be all very different, and we just want to go and check and challenge things in maybe an environment that feels safer to have a more open conversation for us as women. One of the things I've always done since kind of early days in my career is there's a particular woman who I've worked with in the past who was a real role model to me. And I would quite regularly find myself thinking, what would she do in a meeting before I reacted? And it just kind of gave me that ability to pause and then really think about, this is how she would act. And that I think that would have landed correctly in this meeting. So we all have our own role models, but equally having a network where you can go and talk, whether it's to get advice or just to have someone to listen to you.
Yeah, and I think from a personal experience, having you as my mentor, somebody that I've worked with over the last sort of 3 years, and exactly to your point, having somebody that you can just sense check with. Being in financial services, especially in a niche part of financial services, it can be quite difficult to build networks, especially when everybody knows one another. Actually having a support network, having a role model, having somebody that you kind of look up to that's kind of walked the walk and actually is now supporting and passing that baton on to other people is really valuable. So yeah, I really appreciate our
I love our conversations, and I do think for other women, it's approach those women, because you're not going to get someone saying, would you like me to be your mentor? Because it just feels so wrong. But if you approach them, that would be a tip I would give. And that way you'll build your own network.
Yeah, really good advice. That's brilliant. And then I suppose just looking ahead, what's the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge for later life lending in the next year or so?
It's the same thing. It's the FCA's later life mortgage market study. I think it's such an opportunity, but it is going to be a challenge, because for the first time, we've got the FCA really in the question of what should this sector look like? How can it evolve? And really recognising just the fantastic benefits these products deliver to customers in later life. And I really think that is misunderstood, and I'm passionate about it because I can see just the challenges that consumers approaching retirement and in retirement are facing with all the pension gap and the poorer standards of living. And I'm really pleased that the FCA is taking the time to really understand the sector and then look at whether it needs rules to shift the dial, or whether Consumer Duty should be doing enough already and maybe that just needs a bit more reinforcement. So while that's an opportunity, it's still going to be a challenge, because it's very much in our hands now as a sector to really show the regulator and other stakeholders just how good these products are, and why maybe some of the views of the past and the cynics towards it really need to stop and think again, because modern lifetime mortgages have come on so far. I wouldn't be so passionate about it if I didn't believe in this product. And I still think we have got a job to do as a sector to really get that message across in a way that is seen as what it is. There's a customer need here, but it is going to be a lot of work, and not everyone's going to be on the same page. And therefore, it's really up to us to get that message across in a robust and authentic way.
Yeah. And I think it's, as you say, having the right outcome for the customer is going to change their lives, especially at this life stage that they're in. And so many customers are going to be impacted by this. So I think, we talk a lot about niche to norm.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we need to go.
Completely.
There's a regulatory lens on, as you've just said. There's a business case for those specialists that are in this market and those introducers that could actually help and support those specialists.
Yes.
And most importantly, the customer, and actually for the customer to be aware of these things and the choices that we'll bring to them. It's just really remiss to ignore.
I agree, and I just think that plan A, where you get on the housing ladder, you get a mortgage and you pay it off and you retire and you live happily ever after. A lot of people still have that, but an awful lot don't. And I just think there's a complete lack of awareness around where this product might be right for a range of customers that it just doesn't meet today. And hopefully the market study is a step in the right direction to addressing that imbalance.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. That's been really interesting, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again.
Thank you.